My name is Sarah Mitchell. I am 35 years old, a senior marketing director at a Fortune 500 company, and I'm still single. 3 months ago, I walked into my childhood home for what I thought was a normal Sunday dinner. What I discovered that evening would shatter everything I believed about my family. My parents had taken the $50,000 wedding fund my grandparents set aside specifically for me and gave it to my younger brother Marcus as a down payment for his first house. The same brother who already received a brand new car at graduation. The same brother who had his student loans paid off. The same brother who has never once been told no. I found out in the worst possible way. I was helping my mom in the kitchen when my brother's girlfriend Emma walked in, gushing about their new house. She kept thanking my parents, saying how generous they were with that $50,000 gift. I froze. The wooden spoon in my hand clattered into the sink. $50,000. That number echoed in my head. I turned to my mother and asked what Emma was talking about. The color drained from her face. She tried to laugh it off, change the subject, redirect the conversation. But I pressed. I demanded answers. That is when my father walked in. He looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight from foot to foot like a child caught stealing cookies. "Sarah, we were going to tell you. When?" I asked. "When were you planning to tell me that you gave away my wedding fund? The fund that Grandma and Grandpa specifically left for me in their will?" My father cleared his throat. "You are 35 and still single. Marcus needed it more. He is building a life, starting a family. You are focusing on your career." The words hit me like a physical blow. You are focusing on your career, as if my accomplishments meant nothing. As if the decade I spent climbing the corporate ladder, the late nights, the sacrifices, the six-figure salary I now earn, all of it was just a hobby. Just something to pass the time while I waited for a man to come along and give my life meaning. I looked at my mother, hoping for support, for understanding, for anything. She avoided my eyes. "Your father is right, sweetheart. Marcus is 28. He's at that stage in life where he needs help. You are doing fine on your own. Fine on my own. I've been fine on my own for years because they never helped me. Not once." Before I tell you what I did next and how I made them regret every single decision they made, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. Drop a comment and let me know where you are watching from and what time it is there. I love connecting with you all. Now, let me take you back to where this pattern of favoritism truly began. Growing up in the Mitchell household, there was always an invisible hierarchy. Marcus, my younger brother by 7 years, was the golden child from the moment he took his first breath. When he was born, my parents acted like they had finally gotten it right. I was 8 years old, standing in the hospital room, holding a teddy bear I had picked out with my allowance money, and I remember my father saying to the nurse, "Now we have our boy." Finally. That comment planted a seed. Over the years, that seed grew into a massive tree with roots so deep they strangled everything else in their path. Every milestone in Marcus's life was celebrated like a national holiday. His first steps, first words, first day of school. Photo albums overflowed with images of Marcus. Meanwhile, my achievements were footnotes. When I made the honor roll every semester throughout high school, my parents would nod approvingly and say, "That is good, Sarah. Keep it up." When Marcus brought home a single B+ in middle school, they took him to his favorite restaurant and bought him a new video game console to encourage him. The financial disparity became even more obvious as we got older. For my 16th birthday, I received a card with $50 inside and a lecture about saving money. For Marcus's 16th birthday, my parents bought him a brand new Honda Civic, $22,000. I was driving a 12-year-old hand-me-down sedan that broke down twice a month. When I asked why Marcus got a new car when I had not, my father said, "Boys need reliable transportation. You live close to school. You can walk if the car does not work." College was the same story. I worked 2 part-time jobs while attending State University, graduated with $35,000 in student loan debt, and moved into a tiny studio apartment that cost half my monthly income. My parents contributed exactly $0 to my education. The reasoning? "You are smart, Sarah. You will figure it out," and I did. I worked my tail off, graduated with honors, landed an entry-level marketing position, and slowly climbed my way up. Marcus, on the other hand, went to a private university. Tuition? $48,000 per year. My parents paid every single cent. When he graduated, they threw him a massive party, invited 200 people, rented a venue, hired a catering company. For my graduation, we went to Olive Garden. There were 5 of us. The bill was $87 and I was asked to split it. Then came the student loans. 6 months after Marcus graduated, he mentioned over dinner that his loan payments were stressing him out. The next week, my parents paid off all $60,000 of his debt. Just like that. A check written without hesitation. I sat at that same dinner table, drowning in my own student loan payments, and nobody asked if I needed help. I was already working, already independent, already fine on my own. The pattern continued. Marcus moved back home after college, rent-free for 3 years while he bounced between entry-level jobs trying to find himself. I was living in a cramped apartment, paying $1,500 a month, eating ramen noodles for dinner 4 nights a week. When Marcus finally decided to move out, my parents helped him furnish his entire apartment. Couch, bed, television, kitchen table, everything. They spent over $10,000 at furniture stores in 1 weekend. I still remember calling my mother that month, voice shaking, telling her my car had broken down and I needed $2,000 for repairs. She sighed, "Sarah, you make good money now. You should have an emergency fund." Because that is what I always did. I kept moving forward alone because asking for help was apparently not an option for me. The $50,000 wedding fund was supposed to be different. It was not my parents' money, it was mine. My grandparents, my mother's parents, had always treated Marcus and me equally. They saw the favoritism. They hated it. When my grandmother passed away 4 years ago, she left specific instructions in her will. $50,000 was to be held in trust for me, designated for my wedding, or if I chose not to marry, to be released to me on my 40th birthday. My grandfather passed 6 months later, and in his will, he reiterated the same instruction. That money was mine, legally, morally, undeniably mine. My parents were named as trustees. They were supposed to safeguard that money, invest it conservatively, and ensure it was available when I needed it. I had not thought much about it over the past few years. I was focused on my career, on building my life, on becoming the kind of woman my grandparents would be proud of. I dated occasionally, but nothing serious. I was not actively searching for a husband, but I was not opposed to marriage either. I simply believed that the right person would come along when the timing was right. And if that never happened, I would still have that money at 40, a safety net. A gift from 2 people who actually loved me unconditionally. Standing in my parents' kitchen that Sunday evening, listening to Emma rave about the down payment my parents gave Marcus, I felt something inside me break. It was not just anger. It was betrayal. It was grief. It was the sudden, crushing realization that my parents had stolen from me. Not just money, but the love and security my grandparents had tried to give me even after their deaths. I walked into the living room where Marcus was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through his phone. "Did you know?" I asked him. My voice was shaking but steady. "Did you know that the $50,000 Mom and Dad gave you was my wedding fund from Grandma and Grandpa?" He looked up, genuinely confused. "What are you talking about? They said it was a gift. They have been saving it for years." I turned to my parents who had followed me into the living room. Tell him the truth." My father rubbed his forehead. "Sarah, you're being dramatic. That money has been sitting in an account doing nothing for 4 years. Marcus needed it now. You are not even dating anyone. When you get married, we will help you with the wedding. We will figure something out." Figure something out. That was their plan. Steal $50,000 that did not belong to them and figure something out later. I looked at Marcus. He had the decency to look uncomfortable. "Sarah, I did not know. If I had known, I would not have accepted it. Would you not?" I asked. "Really?" "Because from where I stand, you have never once turned down money from Mom and Dad. You have never once questioned why you get everything handed to you while I get nothing." He opened his mouth to respond, but I held up my hand. "Save it. I do not want to hear it." I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. My mother called after me. "Sarah, wait, where are you going? We can talk about this." "There is nothing to talk about. You stole from me. You violated Grandma and Grandpa's wishes. You proved once again that Marcus matters and I do not." I walked out, got in my car, and drove home. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely grip the steering wheel. That night, I sat in my apartment and made a list. Not a list of grievances, although I could have filled a notebook. A list of actions. I was done being the understanding daughter. I was done making excuses for their behavior. I was done pretending that their blatant favoritism was somehow acceptable. The first thing I did was contact a lawyer. Within 48 hours, I had a consultation scheduled with an estate attorney who specialized in trust and probate disputes. I brought copies of my grandparents' wills, bank statements I had requested from the executor years ago, and a timeline of events. The lawyer listened carefully, took notes, and then looked me straight in the eye. You have a very strong case. Your parents breached their fiduciary duty as trustees. They misappropriated funds that were legally designated for you. We can sue for the full amount plus interest and legal fees. I nodded. Do it. File the lawsuit. Within a week, my parents received legal notice. My mother called me 13 times in 1 hour. I did not answer. My father sent a text message. This is insane. We are your parents. How could you do this to us? I replied with 4 words. How could you steal? Marcus called too. Sarah, please. This is tearing the family apart. Can we not just sit down and talk about this like adults? I laughed out loud when I read that message. Talk like adults? I tried that. You all made your choice. But the lawsuit was just the beginning. I had spent years quietly supporting my parents in ways they never acknowledged. 2 years ago, when they were facing foreclosure on their house, I had lent them $15,000. They promised to pay me back within a year. They never did. When I brought it up once, my father said, consider it rent for all the years we raised you. I let it go. I always let it go, not anymore. I sent a formal demand letter requesting full repayment within 30 days. My mother called, sobbing. We do not have that kind of money right now. You know we do not. Then you should not have given my wedding fund to Marcus. Maybe you can ask him for a loan. I also stopped attending family events. Completely. My parents hosted a birthday party for Marcus 2 weeks after the lawsuit was filed. I was not invited, but I would not have gone anyway. My mother sent a passive-aggressive text. I guess we are not good enough for you anymore now that you are a big-shot corporate executive. I did not respond. I blocked their numbers. I blocked Marcus. I blocked extended family members who started calling to tell me I was being unreasonable, that family is forever, that I should forgive and forget. Forgive what exactly? Decades of being treated like height did not matter? Theft? Betrayal? The lawsuit moved forward. My parents tried to argue that the money was a gift to them as trustees and they had discretion over its use. Their lawyer was terrible. Mine was exceptional. We had documentation. We had the explicit language in the wills. We had bank records showing the money was held in a separate trust account, not commingled with their personal funds, which actually worked in my favor. It proved they knew it was not their money. 3 months after I filed, their lawyer advised them to settle. They had no choice. The judgment was for $50,000 plus 4 years of accrued interest at the state statutory rate plus my legal fees. Total amount? $63,000. My parents did not have $63,000. They barely had $6,000. Marcus's house? Turns out my $50,000 was not the only money my parents had borrowed or misused. They'd taken a second mortgage on their home to help fund Marcus's lifestyle over the years. They were drowning in debt. The judgment pushed them over the edge. They were forced to sell their house. The house I grew up in, the house filled with memories, good and bad. They downsized to a small 2-bedroom condo in a retirement community 40 minutes outside the city. My mother blamed me entirely. She sent one final email before I blocked her everywhere. I hope you are happy, Sarah. You destroyed this family. You took our home. You ruined your brother's happiness. All because you are bitter and jealous and alone. I read it once, then I deleted it. Her words did not hurt anymore. I had spent 35 years trying to earn love that was never going to be given freely. I was done. Marcus tried to reach out through a mutual friend. He wanted to apologize, to explain, to make things right. The friend told me Marcus felt horrible, that he offered to sell his house and give me the money back. I told the friend to tell Marcus thank you, but no, this was never about him. This was about my parents and their choices. He was just a symptom of the larger disease. 6 months after the settlement, I was sitting in my office when I received a letter. It was from my father, handwritten, 4 pages. He apologized. He admitted that they had always favored Marcus. He said it was not intentional, but they did not realize how bad it had gotten him. that they thought I was strong enough to handle being overlooked. He said losing their house was the wake-up call they needed. He asked if we could meet for coffee. Just to talk, no expectations. I held that letter for 3 days. I reread it a dozen times. Part of me wanted to crumple it up and throw it away. Part of me wanted to believe that people could change. I met him at a coffee shop halfway between our locations. It was awkward. He looked older, smaller somehow. We talked for 2 hours. He cried. I did not. He admitted things I had never expected to hear. That he had always wanted a son. That when Marcus was born, he felt complete in a way he had not before. That he knew it was wrong but could not seem to stop himself from favoring Marcus. He said my mother felt the same way. That they were products of their own upbringing, their own internalized beliefs about gender and family. It did not excuse anything. But it was honest. For the first time in my life, my father was being truly honest with me. I did not forgive him. Not that day, maybe not ever, but I did not walk away either. We meet for coffee once a month now. It is not a real relationship. It is more like 2 acquaintances checking in. My mother refuses to speak to me. Marcus and I have exchanged a few cordial text messages, mostly around holidays. We are not close. We probably never will be, but I'm okay with that. Because here's what I learned through all of this. You cannot force people to value you. You cannot earn love that is conditional. And you absolutely should not set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. I am 35 years old. I am still single, and I am completely fine with that. I have a career I love, friends who support me, and $63,000 sitting in my savings account. Money that is mine. That was always supposed to be mine. I bought myself a beautiful 1-bedroom condo in the city with a view of the skyline. I take vacations. I invest in myself. And every single day I think about my grandparents. They saw me. They valued me. They tried to protect me even after they were gone. That is love. Real unconditional love. The kind my parents never gave me, but the kind I am learning to give myself. To anyone out there who has been overlooked, undervalued, or treated like you do not matter by the people who are supposed to love you most, listen carefully. Your worth is not determined by their inability to see it. You do not owe anyone your peace, your money, or your mental health just because you share DNA, and sometimes walking away is not giving up. It is choosing yourself. Finally, thank you so much for staying with me through this story. If it resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe. It means the world to me. I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to choose yourself over toxic family members? How did it change your life? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, stories about standing up for yourself and reclaiming your power, check out the video in the description. I think you will love it. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve it.